Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. For today's video, we're going to cover a few of the standalone short clip videos that I've released over the last few days in case you've missed them. First off, I was able to tour Giga-Texas. I got some great views on the ground level down at the south end of the cooling plant, also the south end glass wall, and the west main entrance, and with the flags flying in the glass, entering into the lobby, and also listening to an introductory discussion by one of the employees. And I was also able to talk a little about some of the things that I saw during the factory tour, and I gave you a map of all of the areas that I was able to tour as well. So I would take a look at this video to get some views you don't normally see. Next up, I did a 360-degree fly around the main factory building. Kind of started on the northeast corner, flew along the east side, the south end, along the west end, and then up to the north. So if you haven't seen this video, I would definitely check it out. For those of you wondering about the solar panels, I did a video discussing those, what the plans may be, and also some of the details about why they were installed the way they were, how they operate, and the interface with the Megapack site. So if you would like to get more information, I would definitely check out this video that I put out here recently. Since I toured the factory during the 4th of July, we got a chance to see some of the flags that were being flown by this crane on the outside. And this is how it looked with the sunrise. I was able to give information about the plans for new flagpoles and how many of them there will be here. In addition to that, I gave you an update on the trapezoidal stone glass feature that was installed at the west main entrance, some of the challenges that they're having, and also how this may be affecting future designs at Giga Nevada and Giga Mexico. So make sure you take a look at that video so you can get some additional information as well. On the 8th of July, I provided this video, which gives you a great deal of information about the casting machine structure, some of the changes over time, what is going on the inside, and a map showing you what all is installed. Now, I talked about the fact that there's 2 9,000-ton gigapresses, 4 6,000-ton gigapresses, and an update where there are now 2 additional 6,000-ton gigapresses. This is the location that they are being installed in. And with this image, you get a chance to see all 6 of the 6,000-ton gigapresses. And as we go back up to the map on the roof, this is what it looks like installed. I also talked about the furnaces and kilns to melt down the aluminum and showed you where that is located. And we talked about some of the milling machines and plasma cutting machines and where they are located as well. Finally, we covered the new ventilation system in this section of the factory, and I gave you a few views on the inside from some historical footage that I took during the Cyber Rodeo. And also we talked about the castings on the exterior of the building, what the red X's mean, and how all of this works together. So definitely a video you need to take a look at. And finally, some new information. I've had a lot of viewers ask how many parking spots are at the multi-level parking garage. Each floor has about 800 parking spots. There are 7 floors, so the estimated total capacity is about 5,600 cars, and there will be additional parking on the ground level around the structure and on the east side when they finish out some of the parking lots. So probably close to 6,000 cars will be able to park in this facility. So all of those videos are on my YouTube channel and you can take a look at them. So for now, let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what Giga-Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. good morning from a beautiful start of Wednesday, the 10th of July here at Giga-Texas, and a nice sunrise over the die shop and battery cathode plant. So I figure this is a great opportunity to go take a look inside the die shop. This is something I haven't done in an extremely long time, and I think it is definitely time to do so. I've had a lot of viewers ask me to do that as well, so here is the chance. So let's fly over to the die shop. We'll get in close to the windows and we'll take a look at what is going on inside. As we get in really close over the receiving door on the bottom of the screen, we'll zoom in and take a look at what is going on. Now, we can see the supports on either side for the huge bridge crane that's on top with the Tesla written on the red beam itself. We see some of the hooks and other devices hanging down from that bridge crane. We also see some additional cranes off to the left, kind of the A-frame design in red. And we see what appears to be some equipment being installed in the far end. And it's very hard to tell exactly what it is, but it looks like it may be milling machines to make the dies for the Giga presses. We also see some construction going on in the middle of the building, and there's actually a dirt floor at the moment. And if you look closely on the ground, we can see that gray item next to that A-frame ladder. That's another one of the dies that's being made for the Giga press. Now, when Monroe was talking with Lars Moravi for the Cybertruck delivery event, he mentioned that they have the capability now to make their own dies, and this is the shop where that happens. As we fly around the corner of the die shop, still looking through the windows, immediately in front of the windows is that support structure for the bridge crane. You can see the stop for the bridge crane as well. By the stairs, looking through inside, we can tell that there are some kind of rack mounts for supplies, many of the crates. And as I continue to go through the turn here at the bottom of the screen, we can see a lot of these kind of stainless steel tanks and these white items that are assembled next to it. Looks like 4 different stations. And as I will try to maneuver the drone a little bit up and down so you can get a good view of what this looks like inside. But clearly they have these 4 stations up and running. And we also see some additional, I believe, milling machines in the middle of the screen. It looks like 2 sets of them. Some other deliveries, some with the green wrap. And also it looks like crates are being opened up for additional equipment. Now, we also have seen equipment on the north end of the building, so this may be some of that. As we continue to fly to the north along this west side, it's a good view of some more of the bridge cranes on the bottom in red, the staircase in the middle, and with the worker walking by, it's a good idea of the scale here. And as we continue to fly to the north, looks like there's additional work and probably milling machines in the center section of the building. And it's just past this large white ducting. And of course, more of the bridge cranes, those A-frames, just inside the windows. And we can see the trolleys for the large bridge crane on the top of the screen. And this is another double bridge crane. So that means it has 2 of the beams. And then we have the mechanism in between, and of course the trolleys for them to drive on. We see more of those hooks hanging down from that bridge crane. And as we continue to fly around the top of these A-frame red painted items, I'm trying to get a good view in here, but that's the end of the windows. And so that's about the extent of what we can see on the inside. But it definitely looks like they've got a lot of the machinery and equipment installed, and they are in fact making some of the dies for the gigapresses, which is a great sign. This is the furnace or the kiln on the north end of the building that's used for those die manufacturing, and some more of that equipment that I mentioned here on the north end waiting for installation. The chiller plant is well lit. This is the first time I've been able to show you this view, and with the lighting, it's a great view of the pumps and the pipes and some of the other equipment that is on the other side or underside of where those fan units are. And I will kind of get at a higher altitude and turn around here just to give you a good overall view of what that chiller plant looks like when it's all lit up, and of course the fan units are operational. Since it's still dark enough, I'm going to fly to the north along this west side of the cathode plant, and let's take a look inside the third floor of the cathode plant as it is well lit from the inside. And as I zoom in, we'll get some good views here, and it looks to me like this may be a break room or a cafeteria on the right-hand side of the screen. That's very similar to other cafeterias that I saw in the main factory when I got my tour last week. Some interesting chairs that they have up next to the wall. And as we continue to fly to the north, we can see what appears to be a set of workstations kind of grouped together with those white tables and black chairs, and of course the monitors. And in the background, it looks like there's some additional equipment through almost like a roll-up door, and we can just get a good view of what it looks like through here. Now, this is the best view that I've been able to provide of this section of the cathode plant, mainly because of the early morning and the well-lit interior. And I'm going to continue to fly to the east along this north face and give you some really good views inside. Now, several weeks ago, I showed you an image that was taken from the inside looking through the glass, and they had a large number of the cathode employees, and that was all before all of these workstations were installed. So a lot of progress in that time frame between that photo and now. And a good view down that hallway and some of the additional equipment that is here installed on the north end of the cathode plant. So that's a pretty good look at two of the facilities here at Giga-Texas that I have not been able to give you views of before. And I hope that you found this informative and also just interesting so that we can see a little more about what's going on here at Giga-Texas. So as I pull away, it's a great view with wonderful lighting of the entire facility with the Giga-Texas in the background. And of course, the sunrise is giving us some really nice colors throughout the images as well. As I fly over the Wade pit, bring the drone down slightly next to the crash test facility on the left, one of the things that I did notice is that there's another set of openings here on the east side of the cathode plant, and we can get a good view inside. Looks like it's a large bay, and some of the white equipment with some red borders on the inside. And a good view here of the entire east side of the cathode plant and the facilities here. So I'm going to turn back towards Giga-Texas, fly over this extension of Tesla Road, and a good view of the employee parking overflow lot, and also the rapidly filling east lot as the employees are starting to show up for work at this early time of Wednesday. So I'm going to fly over the power lines. We'll bring the drone down and take a look at some of the conduit work underway. Here on the north side of Tesla Road, we can get a good view of the conduit that's being installed in the trenches, the concrete vaults, the conduit that is going underneath Tesla Road, and you can see the paved over sections where the trenching has taken place. And as we continue to fly over Tesla Road and this landscape section, more of where the trenching has been filled in and where the trenching is extending to the north. And I'll show you a closer view of that in a second here in the video, but I wanted to come over to the 4680 battery cell production section to show you some changes. Underneath the tall platform, we can see some of those steel studs being in place. That's going to fill in this portion of the wall. We also see some of that same work has been done on the right-hand side of the screen and around the top parts of the platforms. So it looks like they are definitely finished with the major construction, or at least bringing materials through that section. On the north face of the paint shop, we get a good view of some of the racks that are being stored on the right and just all of the castings. In fact, today, as we continue to fly along the east side of the building, you're going to see these castings just stored almost the 2/3 of the length of the building. This is amazing that they're making this many. We also get a good chance to see all those new receiving doors on the right-hand side of the screen. And at the bottom left is the trench work for the conduit, and then where these rack mounts are for the castings, this is where the trench work has been filled back in with concrete. So they're definitely making progress here. And all of that conduit will be supporting the supercomputer cluster on the south end. Great view here of the east side, more of the castings on the left. Some of the trench work in this dirt section as they reconfigure this part of the casting machine structure. Some more of those places for probably cuts into the wall, some conduit coming out into that dirt section, and a great view of the galvanized steel bag plant superstructure. And as I bring the drone up, I'll give you some closer views of that. We see that those 3 square slabs underneath the superstructure on the north have been finished. And we see that one rectangular section with the formwork still waiting for concrete. And here's a good view of this dirt section that we saw earlier. The pipes on the left for conduit, I believe, next to that receiving door. All of the castings at the bottom of the screen. And a great view of this bag plant with some of the ducting and equipment being installed on the left-hand side of the screen, and we can see that on those platforms that were being installed last week. Now, much of this equipment is coming from the far west staging location, and I will show you more of that later in the video. Flying further to the south, again, more of the castings just stored along this entire length of the factory. The dirt section here is getting more of the trench work and final work before we can get the concrete poured in, and I'm sure that they would like to see those receiving doors operational. Great view of, again, all of the castings here on the east side of the building next to the turbo roundabout, and those orange pipes for ventilation next to that east secondary entrance, and more castings all the way down that length of the building. As I turn towards the old testing and calibration lot, see that there are a lot of Model Ys temporarily stored here, and some of the Cybertrucks. And of course, they're still using these superchargers. Now, this is part of sort of the end-of-line production processes for Giga-Texas. That entire process is changing for both the Cybertruck and the Model Ys, and I'll be talking about that in a future video very soon. As we pull away, this is the new intersection of Robotic Avenue and at Electric Avenue, and it looks like they continue to make progress on that intersection. Some trenching down the middle of the median at the bottom of the screen, and this is going to be for lighting. Most of the concrete is already in, and of course the asphalt. The multi-level parking garage, I talked about that in the intro, about the 5,600 or so parking spots inside, and another 400 or so that will be on the exterior for the ground level parking. Great view of the intersection of where Robotic Avenue and River Road will come together. And on the left, we can see how this is being widened for the River Road extension through this area. And you can see how that matches up with the intersection in the center left of the screen and how this entire roadway will look. It also is close to this water detention pond with the lining. And we see that pad on the right-hand side of the screen. That's most likely going to be for some sort of an equipment station. As I pull back to the southeast, a great overall view of the main factory. and then I'll come back in and show you the progress that is going on with this cooling plant. On the ground, you can see those brown pipes that are being extended across this section. You can see those concrete kind of mounts that they're building. Those are to ensure that the pipes do not move as the water flows through, because there's going to be an extensive amount of water going through those pipes. And without that, they could move quite easily and possibly break the pipes. This is a great view of the chiller plant itself and the work that's going on the ground floor, plus the vents along the side and the rest of the kind of the paneling that make up the structure. I'm going to keep the zoom in, fly to the north slightly on this side of the stamping machine structure, showing you some of the equipment, the recycling trailers on the bottom, that temporary platform, and some of the additional areas where scraps of the stamping are recycled in the building. And then this is a good look across the body in white structure to those ventilation systems that are being installed. And that's a part of that body in white server room cooling unit that we have seen in the permits previously. And I'm going to keep the zoom in as I maneuver back over the power lines, because I want to give you a different view of this part of the extension and the chiller plant on the left, plus a great view of the work on the ground next to those 4 water tanks on the right, and the new water lines being installed here through this trench. It's a great view of where they're going to terminate underneath the plant on the left, and you can see the formwork underway. Plus you can see where they are preparing in that orange painted marks on the mud base on the left-hand side of the screen, where additional concrete mounts for the pipes will be placed. And more of the formwork on the bottom of the screen where they are doing those concrete mounts. And you can get a really good view of what that will look like as that continues to progress towards that cooling plant. As I bring the drone around the southeast corner, I will come down in altitude and give you a view of some of the rebar work on the left. And very interesting, next to all of these generators, there is a portable supercharger that has been moved to this section of the plant. Not exactly sure why, but maybe it's just going to give some of the employees or workers that use Tesla vehicles a place to charge temporarily. More of the platform items on the right being stored, and the second of the 3 kind of the aprons in front of the tunnels is making some progress with more of the rebar work here on the ground, preparing for the slabs that will be coming soon. Looks like there's some blue water pipe and some additional work being done next to the perimeter grade beam by that tunnel. As I maneuver around this southwest side, I want to show you that the workshop here and some of the activities for the glass company has been cleaned up quite a bit, and also most of the crates that had more glass have been moved away. And I think that they're just waiting for this part of the factory and on the other side until they can install more of the glass. While we're here, I'll try to give you a good view inside the extension, both floors, and the work that is continuing. The big thing that is of note is the amount of internal walls that continue to be erected around the entire section, both floors, and some of the mezzanines. And it's hard to tell here, but they are continuing to work with the boring tunnel exit underneath the factory as well. Good view of these mezzanines along this side of the building and how that glass line will eventually look. A lot of the materials that have been unpacked are being put down through this chute for recycling right now, and we can see where the Cybertrucks are beginning to exit the factory for the first time today as production gears up for the workday. I'm going to bring the drone up over the roof section to show you some progress with the insulation being installed. There's this one section remaining for the insulation, and then we'll be able to see what the final design will be and how the weatherproof membrane will look. And also I wanted to stop here and show you the placement for the wiring and these rack mounts. This runs the length of the entire building, and then it enters into the section here. This is related to all of that conduit that we saw being installed in the trenches just north of Tesla Road. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude, look across the highway to the west support facility, and we'll get ready to cross over and take a look more closely at that part of the site. As I mentioned earlier in the video, there is a change for the end-of-line processing for the Cybertrucks and Model Ys underway right now, and I'll do a more in-depth video of that with the details. But needless to say, you can see all of the Model Ys entering into the end-of-line facility now, and many more of them arriving, and also some work on that test track. What's really the basic idea is that all of the end-of-line processing that is currently inside the factory is being moved completely to this end-of-line facility, and that's going to free up a lot of space for reconfiguration work for some additional line changes and new products later this year. So we're seeing the beginnings of all of that underway now, and as I mentioned, I will put a standalone video to give you more details. So I'm going to fly along the west side of the outbound lot, get a good view of the Cybertrucks and the Model Ys getting picked up by some of the transport trucks. And while we're here, I'm going to cross over this road and show you this material staging yard. There is a lot of materials of various kinds, everything from wiring to steel parts and ventilation ducting and tanks. Also workshops making some of the pipes that are part of the cooling system on the south end. But what I wanted to stop here and show you is these items on the ground. You can see looks like some pump units or fan units and some enclosures. Also some ducting on the left. This is all part of that baghouse filtration plant on the east side of Casting. And we've saw some of that material is already being installed, and the rest of that will follow soon. Also tells us that those tanks that are there are most likely destined for the baghouse plant. In the center of the screen, we can see almost all of the Boring Company parts, except for that steel ramp, have been removed from that triangular parking area. And of course, on the right-hand side of the screen is the West Warehouse on wheels, which seems to be very busy with some of the yard trucks picking up the trailers to move over to the production part of the factory. While we're also here, I'm going to bring the drone back down along this dirt road. All of these rectangular concrete sections are essentially liners that form the roadway surface inside the boring tunnel. And it looks like all of the parts that are needed for the roadway surface are now on site, plus some additional concrete tunnel liners laid around this area as well. Now, these will fill out the top 7/8 of the tunnel. The bottom 1/8 of the tunnel is used for utilities, and that would be for water pipes, electrical conduit, and ventilation parts for the tunnel. And right now what we can see is some of the flexible conduit and also the gray hard conduit is being prepared for installation inside the tunnel. And this is, of course, all being done on that bottom 1/8 before they will put those concrete liners in that form that roadway surface. And so a lot of this utility work is well underway right now here at the boring tunnel's main entrance on the west side. And as I continue to fly over towards the tunnel itself, it's a good view in of some of the work that is underway. You can see some of the pipe work on that bottom 1/8 now, plus some temporary wooden ramps to have access in and out of it. And all of that work will be done before they place those roadway concrete slabs. And then once that's complete, then the tunnel would be useful for driving the Cybertrucks across. And I will also be doing another video that will talk more about the plans and the need for this tunnel and some additional details which I have recently been made aware of. So look for that here in the coming few days. I'm going to pull away to the far south along the highway, give you a good view of the site from this vantage point. I hope that you enjoyed the early morning views, the information about the die shop, and everything else we were able to see. Thank you very much. Have a great day.